Can we please have quiet on the set?
We are here yet again for another One Reel In podcast. With me, as always, is the ultimate host with the most, Marco Dupa.
Thank you. I love you.
I'm Adam Obusis Rodriguez, of course. And the movie that we are here to review and contemplate and discuss...
Is it going to take that much brain power?
No, but I feel like I have some left over after watching this movie. It's F9.
F9.
F9. It is officially F9. It's not the Fast and the Furious 9.
Yeah.
Or Fast 9 or Furious 9. It's just F9.
I mean, that's kind of just the cherry on top of
it's
all this,
It's a key
right?
function on a computer.
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
It's F9.
F9.
Yeah. So obviously we are big fans of the Fast and the Furious series. We've talked about it a lot.
A lot.
A whole lot.
Probably more than people want to hear about.
Yeah. So I think quickly we should say how we were feeling going into the movie.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the movie itself.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, we're big fans. I mean, to the point that I would even go so far as to call us Fast and the Furious apologists.
I don't think it needs apologizing. Personally.
I think that there are people who think that they are smarter than these films or that these films don't deserve merit.
Uh-huh.
And whenever you get into a discussion, I know when I talk to people about these movies and they haven't seen them, the first thing, they give me the look like, really?
Yeah.
Those movies? Mm-hmm. Because I think they represent to a lot of people what Marvel movies represent, which is just rampant capitalism.
Uh-huh.
And it drives them crazy.
Sure.
Because they want, like, Steven Soderbergh movies being made. And, like, I mean, I'm not arguing with that.
I would see a Soderbergh Fast and Furious movie, actually. That sounds pretty
that would
good.
Be incredible.
Yeah. I'm down for that reboot.
Yeah, I mean, they're just upset that these big blockbusters keep getting made. So I would say that we were apologists for movies that I agree don't need an apology.
And I won't apologize for it.
Same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I went in pretty excited, also kind of worried.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, because this movie, we should preface by saying this movie was delayed a lot because of COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
So in that time, we saw probably 3 too many trailers.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot was spoiled.
Too much.
I mean, even like, we'll get into it obviously, but not even story-wise, because who really cares? But like set piece-wise, I feel like a lot was ruined.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Agreed.
So that was kind of a bummer. And I went into it worried about that, and for good reason, as I saw. But yeah, I mean, anytime, especially because this is the first time both of us have been out to a movie theater in a very long time.
Yeah.
I was excited to get back to the movies, and this being the movie to do it seemed only appropriate, it being a big blockbuster Fast and Furious movie.
The last movie I saw was with you, and it was The Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last time I left my house and went to the movie theater to see an actual movie.
It was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pre-COVID.
Yeah. By a good amount.
By a good amount.
Yeah.
Well, not that amount. Not that good.
No,
because it was late 20... If you think about it, it was late 2019.
Yeah.
So like December.
It was maybe have even been January. We saw it kind of late, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, we didn't see it late.
No,
we saw it in December.
Okay.
I remember we saw it really early. I remember because I didn't want it to be spoiled.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then I mean the pandemic started like early 2020.
Yeah.
Like February, March.
So it was a couple months away.
So there was a little bit of time where I could have seen a movie, but I mean, obviously we're not going to go back and find out like what movies were playing at that point. But I obviously
Parasite. You could have seen Parasite.
Oh yes, yeah. Right. You guys saw
That's
Parasite.
What I saw. Yeah.
I could have seen Parasite.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen Parasite.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. No F9, but it's pretty good.
By the way, I want to talk about. obviously not today, but we will at some point. The movies that we haven't seen that we need to see.
Okay.
That people assume we've seen.
Okay. Sure.
Like big movies that you maybe have lied about seeing, or like want to admit that you haven't seen yet.
Oh, of course, yeah. The movie that like somebody will be talking to you at the water cooler, and you're like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I've lied about a couple movies.
I've done that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so I guess we should jump directly into the plot.
Let's do it.
The plot.
The plot.
We'll keep this brief because it's convoluted and doesn't matter a whole lot.
Doesn't matter.
So essentially, Dom and Letty are with their son, hanging out.
Right, and the son is the Brazilian chick's son.
Son, yeah.
Not Letty. She did not have that kid.
Stepson.
Right. And she makes note of that by saying, like, your father, your mother.
Yeah.
She's like, that ain't my kid.
Right.
So some shit goes down, I can just dip.
Puts out the door.
I got no responsibilities to this kid. Yeah.
So, which actually, that's funny you bring that up because in her being, I mean, obviously, they wrote it that way on purpose, but it kind of seemed that way where it's like, in all of the last movie, she's talking about wanting to start her own family and stuff.
Yeah.
And they still haven't.
Yeah.
So it's almost like she's kind of still bitter about that.
Yeah, no, dude. And I'm sure we will kind of dissect it a little bit more, but like the idea of, and the memes have gone just buck wild at this point about the whole family thing. And yet, like, his core family unit is so dysfunctional as to, I guess, inform why he cares so much about his external family or chosen quote unquote family.
Right.
Because his actual family is so fucked up.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, his child is with some other woman who's dead. His brother-in-law is, well, he's not dead in the universe.
Dead
to their
story.
lifestyle.
Yeah. They've
his-
moved on. Kind of, because Mia comes back.
Right.
Inexplicably. They should have left her out of it.
She should not have been in the movie.
Yeah.
Just doesn't make any. The only reason they bring her in is to kind of give some kind of like conflict to the brother thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's get into the let's.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew this would happen.
Yeah. Of course, because it just.
Anyway, so yeah, they're hiding out off the grid with I find funny they call their kid Little B.
They call him Little B.
Yeah.
And I guess Vin Diesel has no finger to the pulse of the internet.
No.
As to like naming his kid
Lil B. Yeah.
No.
Thank you, Base God.
Base God. His kid is super based.
Super based. So they are suddenly come across by the old team saying that they need help.
Who he almost murdered.
Sure. And Lil B has to run in a cellar.
For reasons not explained, why he's so paranoid about his family being hunted like that.
I guess he's still afraid of Cypher. Is that that's like the main person they've burned in this entire thing, right?
It's honestly the only person they have to worry about.
Because everyone else is a friend
Yeah.
now that they've
He's
come across.
turned them all.
Yeah.
So she'd be the only one to worry about.
Or those truckers are going to come back for their DVD players from part one. I remember that. I want to see that story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just that lone truck driver.
A legion of
Yeah.
like 18-wheelers come after him.
Yep.
And it's just him and his GTO.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing he has to be concerned about is if she has the resources to come after him from this high-powered prison, which obviously we find out is not that high-powered.
Right. So they reconvene. They talk about what the current issue of the day is, which is apparently Mr. Nobody went down in a plane crash while he was...
Mr. Nobody's Kurt Russell.
Yes, while he was transporting Cypher.
Yeah.
And tell me if I'm wrong here. Also within that plane was also that weapon.
Yeah, okay.
Half of the weapon is that true?
So and we could be wrong about this, but as far as I know, Yes. He put the world's most dangerous hacker and half of the world's most dangerous weapon on the same plane.
Sure.
And was transporting them at the same time.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it crashes. The plane crashes. She escapes. Mm-hmm. We find out that's because Dom's brother, Jacob, who we've never heard of before.
Nope. 9 films. Never heard of this guy.
Not a peep. He's apparently a secret operative who has turned.
Yeah.
And so now he's helping the bad guys. He's helping Cypher.
Yeah.
So they're basically on the hunt to try to find Mr. Nobody and the device.
Yep.
And stop Cypher.
Yep.
And stop Jacob.
Yep.
And I guess find the secret behind this device.
And drink Coronas while they do it.
Yes. While on that search, they of course run into Jacob.
Yeah.
And he goes on about a 5-mile zip line through Edinburgh.
Oh, I mean, you're jumping ahead of a lot of stuff.
Because I don't want to talk about this movie anymore, Marco.
First of all, Jacob is John Cena. And I mean, I just want to give him. I want to show him a little bit of love.
Okay.
Because I mean, for all intents and purposes, he did a pretty good job.
He did pretty good.
Right?
Yeah.
He didn't do so bad.
Considering we're trying to, believe that he could be brothers somehow biologically with Vin Diesel.
I wrote that down because after we watched the movie, I had thoughts. And I wrote my thoughts down while I was driving, dangerously. I shouldn't have done it.
No.
I advised not to do this. But I couldn't help it. I had thoughts, and I needed to write them down. And one of the thoughts that I wrote down was Nordic strain, ?
Yes. What was that?
What was that?
What a weird line.
Strange. So Charlize Theron's character, Cypher. Not only is she a master hacker, she apparently can just look at someone's face and be able to know, like, where their
Ancestry. She's Ancestry.com.
She's Ancestry.com.
Yeah, in her brain.
And so they do a throwaway line to kind of explain how Vin Diesel and John Cena ended up being brothers, which is that the Toretto line is so mixed. Mm-hmm. And who would have thought there would be a Nordic strain in their bloodline that would explain why John Cena is so white.
Yeah.
And Vin Diesel is not.
Right.
And that's it. That's the only explanation as to why these two guys were cast to be blood brothers.
Would it not have been better for them not to even try to explain it?
Yes.
Just pretend?
Absolutely. It would have been 1,000 times better to not even acknowledge the fact that it was poor casting.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. They should not have done it. And I couldn't, when she said it, I couldn't believe. And, dude, honestly, that's probably my biggest issue with this film is how much it insults the intelligence of the audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thinking that it was necessary to explain why John Cena and Vin Diesel are brothers in this movie. And the way that they choose to do it is in his DNA, there is a quote-unquote Nordic strain.
Yeah.
And that was enough?
Like, that's a thing.
Like, that's a thing?
Like, brothers can just look dramatically different because there's a strain of white in their bloodline somewhere.
So, his mother, his dad, his sister, all are vaguely brown.
Yeah.
Because they never really explain what race Dom Toretto is.
Yeah. We assume Italian.
Yes, dark Italian, like olive-skinned Italian.
Yeah,
is
like
what I
Sicilian.
Assumed. Yeah.
Or a mix of Italian and some kind of Hispanic.
Yeah. I always assumed he was half Hispanic, half Italian. That was my assumption.
Yeah.
And their thought was the only way people are going to believe that Cena and Vin Diesel are brothers is if we explain to them that he has a Nordic strain, a very, very, very white strain of DNA, and that's how he gets that distinctive quote unquote chin.
I have 2 solutions for this real quick, and we'll continue with this synopsis.
Please, I would love to hear it.
Okay, so they could have gone with he's a half brother, different mom.
Yep, easily could have
It's
done
fine.
it. Easily could have done
It's
it.
fine. They could have gone with he's not even a brother, not a blood brother, but he was part of like the original crew, like in the early times.
Yep.
When they
Also-
first started off.
Also easily could have worked.
He was part of the original family,
Yeah.
and now he has the new family.
That works even better than him being a half brother because of the whole family unit thing.
Right.
And it works to explain why we never hear about him in the 9
Sure.
or the 8 films previous to this.
Maybe he did something really terrible. It doesn't have to necessarily be the whole dad subplot.
Which is the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to get into all the flashbacks.
I don't know if we have time to get into everything.
That's exactly my point.
Okay.
That's why I jumped ahead to Edinburgh.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, I think those solutions work perfectly fine. And also, if he's part of the old crew, he can kind of throw it in his face like, hey, you guys, he's going to turn on you too.
Yeah. Yep.
This isn't real family.
Definitely could have worked.
Yeah.
Definitely could have worked.
Alas. Okay, so anyway, the team is sent off separately to get intel, basically, to try to find the device.
Right. So this device, vaguely explained as a thing that can take over every computer in the world, and they just kind of go, yeah, I mean, it's like this super powered thing that
It's Ares, which can hack into any computer-controlled weapon system.
the god of war,
Yes.
and anything with ones and zeros, as Ramsey so eloquently explains. Anything with ones and zeros it can hack into and take over, and that basically spells the end of the world, apparently.
Yeah.
Because we are never privy to what they are actually going to do with the device
No.
once they get it online.
And they bring that up. It's another thing they bring up that they don't explain.
Yeah.
Like, characters literally poking holes in this entire thing.
Yeah.
And us not getting any resolution of those.
Yeah.
Cypher herself says, "What are you gonna?
What are you gonna?
What's your plan?"
What are you gonna do once you get it online? And we just get a cheeky smile with some guy who has some weird obsession with Star Wars, who seems to understand the films, and then at one moment doesn't understand the films. It's very strange.
Yeah.
He was like a foreign guy who's like seen half the movie and was told the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And then just kind of makes Star Wars references, and you're like, you haven't seen it, have you?
Which is a weird thing to do anyway in a Fast and Furious movie.
Such a strange thing to do.
Yeah.
Why did he make so many Star Wars references?
I don't know. I was like, is this a Disney? No, it's not a Disney movie. Why are we talking about Star Wars right now?
It's so weird. They just kept doing it.
Yeah.
He went deep. And it was like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
Why is he going so deep? What's happening?
Yeah,
Why is he talking about this so much?
It stood out to me.
And then he goes, the little green guy, and it's like, whoa. Don't act like you haven't seen these movies. You've made too many references to pretend like you haven't seen these movies.
You know who Yoda is.
You know who Yoda is.
Yeah.
Fuck you. All right, continue. I'm
Anyway. So, like half the team, the ladies of the team get sent off to Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Because apparently postcard was mailed from Tokyo. No, mailed from Han. It's a postcard of Mexico.
Yeah.
But it was postmarked from Tokyo,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So they track it back to Tokyo.
Yes.
And find a Mexican flag in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And go, that must be it.
There he is.
So they're...
Well, not he, but there it is.
Yeah.
They're looking for something.
They go into this building. They're ambushed. This random woman fights with them against this faceless military group.
Yeah, knows their names. Knows
Yes.
who each one of them is.
We end up on the street. The bad guys get sniped by a mysterious stranger who turns out to be Han.
Now, for a sec, like before we go into the Han thing, I'd like to say, like, how many times in this movie does a character just look at a thing, doesn't say anything, and then waits for the rest of the characters to look at the same thing and go, oh, that's what you're looking at. Mm-hmm. Go back and watch these movies.
Yeah.
It happens multiple times in this series where a character will look at another character or a thing happening.
Yeah.
And instead of going, guys, look, it's Paul Walker, or guys, look, it's Han, they just stare until the other characters in frame go, oh.
Yeah.
They do it when Paul Walker was on the beach. They do it with Han. They've done it multiple times. They did it. I think they did it with Giselle in the fifth or sixth. They do it multiple times.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing to do. Have you ever been with a group of friends and looked at some hot chick, and instead of going, yo, she's hot, you just stare until everyone else in your friend group
notices
goes,
you staring?
What's he looking at? We should stare too. It's such a weird thing to do.
Strange choice.
It's such a weird thing.
Very strange choice. So after that encounter, they end up reconvening in their secret Leia.
Mm-hmm. Secret Leia.
And they introduce Han back to the group.
Yep.
And we find out what happened with Han, which deflates the entire movie.
Deflates the whole thing.
So apparently Han was in cahoots with Mr. Nobody the entire time.
Yeah.
The assassination that Jason Statham completed on him, really.
Pulled off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently was all part of the show. Not that Jason Statham knew it at the time.
I mean, unless we find out in the next film that he was a part of it. As we know
That
so far.
breaks everything, though, you know? It breaks everything.
At this point, I don't think they give a fuck about keeping anything together.
But
yes, I agree with you. It destroys everything.
Yeah. So
it fractures any emotional input. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, Jason Statham still kills a lot of people. Like,
yes.
He still murders a lot of people.
A lot of people.
He's not a good guy.
Nope.
Anyway.
Not until the end.
Not until the end.
Or I guess the next film.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. And
So,
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw, too, yeah.
Hobbs and Shaw, he's a straight up good guy.
Yeah. Anyway, so we find out that that was all an illusion put on by Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
And since then, he's been in hiding. And in that time, he saved a girl who was going to get murdered because her parents were these scientist engineers.
Vague scientists
Something.
of some kind of technology.
That happens to be the weapon that we've been tracking this entire time.
Yeah.
So she would be targeted. We don't know why.
No.
But she would be targeted too. So he saves her and has kind of put her under his wing this entire time. They've been in hiding, and that's why he didn't come out.
And he trains her to fight, apparently, even though there is no reason for us to believe that Han knows how to fight.
No.
All he does in Tokyo Drift is race cars, and all he does in the rest of the movies is eat chips.
Yes.
So there's no reason to believe that he knows how to fight.
Wasn't that like a joke within the movie too?
That all he does is eat and he doesn't do anything else? Yeah. It was, I mean, he can't fight. Giselle does the fighting.
Yeah, well, am I misremembering? Wasn't there a scene where he and I think Ludacris are chasing somebody and he kicks his ass, like kicks both of their asses?
Ludacris does.
No, the bad guy kicks both of their asses.
No, there's never been a film. I mean, Ludacris has been, he's been either a mechanic, a super genius, a supercomputer genius, or now a kung fu fighter. Because remember, there's that scene in, I think it's either the 6th film, where they get cornered and he's like, guys, and they attack and he takes down like 3 dudes at once. And they're like, wait, what the fuck? And we're all just supposed to clap like dumb little monkeys
Oh, maybe it was Roman then. I forget.
Could have been Roman.
It was
Roman is useless.
It was Roman and someone else in one of the past movies. You guys are probably screaming right now.
Yeah.
But it was Roman and someone else that were chasing an actual martial artist.
Yeah.
In like the underground.
And they get their asses handed to them
and
by the guy who plays Sub-Zero.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and he goes, don't tell anyone about this.
Yes. They get their asses handed to them. Yes, you're right.
By one guy.
That was the 7th film,
I think
maybe?
so,
6th or 7th film. Yes. Sub-Zero beats the ever-living shit out of them.
Right, the both of them.
Yes. At the same time.
Yeah.
They can't touch him.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Okay, yes.
So he's not...
Yes. So he's not a fighter.
No.
But apparently the girl that he takes under his wing and raises from preteen to young adulthood, I guess at some point he either showed her how to fight or he signed her up for a karate class.
Yeah.
Because she knows how to
in hiding.
Yeah.
In maybe he trained with Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
Some underground layer.
Yeah.
So anywho.
So he's alive.
Yeah, he's alive, and that's their reasoning behind it.
We need to obviously I think that's the first thing we need to go back on is let's start with that.
Yeah.
Once we get to let's get to the end of this.
Okay.
Thing.
Anyway. Long story short.
I
mean, it's a globe-trotting adventure where they were trying to find that device the entire time. It turns out the secret behind this device is that it's biometrically activated.
Yeah.
So that's why the girl that was hiding with Han would be a target this entire time. It's because she's the key to unlock this weapon.
Yeah.
So throughout this, they're kind of chasing each other. Jacob's chasing them. They're chasing Jacob, and meanwhile trying to find the weapon. And then there's an entire B or C plot where there's Charlize Theron and Cypher also kind of playing mind games with them. And she's at first helping Jacob because she has to, but then ends up getting out and teaming up with the guy that funded Jacob to find the thing in the first place.
Some random guy.
Yeah, and a lot of this has to do with magnets.
Yeah. Magnets. How the fuck? How do they work?
How do they work? They don't know.
Fucking magnets.
The writers of this movie
don't know
how magnets work.
No characters. The writers.
Nobody.
No one.
Nobody knows how magnets
work. Apparently.
So anyway, what ends up happening is Jacob gets the device, gets double-crossed, and the rich guy who kind of knows Star Wars ends up trying to activate it with Cypher.
Yeah.
In order to foil her, the team makes this entire plan to take down the convoy that that entire thing's a part of. Mm-hmm. While we have Tej and Roman going to space.
Yeah.
To actually knock out to
destroy the actual
satellite. Yeah. So they're in space. Of course something goes wrong. Thank you so much. Something goes wrong. The magnet ends up breaking on the ship that they were going to use to grab the satellite with. So they end up having to ram it in the last second to blow it up, even though it would put them in mortal danger.
Yep. They gave their lives for this mission.
And meanwhile, on the ground, Jacob gets double-crossed, realizes that's happening. There's a kind of come-to-Jesus moment where, what's her nuts? The sister.
Mia?
Mia, yes.
Yeah.
Mia and
Jordana Brewster,
yes. They kind of share a glance as brother and sister, and we get a knowing glance from Dom too that, okay, well, we're not going to be mean to each other, which only comes story-wise because Jacob lays the bombshell that he didn't actually kill their dad, which has been the main beef between Dom and Jacob this entire time.
Yeah.
So he didn't actually kill the dad. The dad asked him to do some kind of magic to his car that would make it stall out, but it happened at the wrong time, and the car ended up flipping or getting crushed and then blowing up. So, we realize that really throughout this entire thing, Dom has been the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, we're led to believe that the big beef between them is that Jacob, John Cena's character, has killed their dad.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, if you have been watching the series as long as we have, the main crux of, I guess, the emotion and the anger that comes from Dom Toretto's character, or Vin Diesel's character, Dom Toretto, the major crux is him having to deal with the trauma of his dad being, I mean, not murdered, but basically murdered in a race, because his dad was a race car driver and another race car driver killed him. He clipped him and he got into an accident and he died. And the way that Dom Toretto dealt with this was anger.
Murder.
And he nearly beat a man to death with a socket wrench because of the anger that resides in him.
Mm-hmm.
And the anger that is within Dom Toretto's character is a major plot point for the character itself.
Well, it's, no pun intended, it's his fuel. That is his fuel the entire time, up until the point where he goes on this family kick.
Yes.
And then even then, it's like it wraps in well with his character because his rage was spawned from love of family.
Yes. Yes.
So that makes sense character-wise.
When you don't have the other brother thrown into this and you just have the fact that his dad was murdered and he had to take care of his sister and his crew, and since his early 20s he's had to take care of all these people.
Yeah.
The plot, or I guess the sub character of family, makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
Because it's like, well, yeah, of course this person only cares about family. That's the only thing he's ever known since his dad died.
Yeah.
When you take those things away, you remove a major part of this character.
What is he now?
What is he now?
And then I'm sure we'll get more into this too after we get done with this never-ending synopsis. But like we said right after watching the movie, that removed so much of the scariness of Dom as a character early on.
Yeah.
In those movies. Like the fact that not only that, but the character that we see who antagonizes him after the race, the guy who actually put his dad into the wall and caused him to crash, like, is an absolute, like, unbelievable level of asshole.
That he almost deserves being beat to death.
Yeah, like, you get it.
Yeah.
Where I don't, like, it would have been better if he was super apologetic and like, oh my God, Dom, I'm so sorry. And he just starts wailing on him,
Okay,
like,
let's get back to that. But let's finish the plot so we can...
I want to bash this movie in with a socket wrench is what I'm trying to say.
Finish the plot so that we can get into...
Okay, we're almost there. Anyway, so we're back.
Us half an hour.
We're back to the convoy. The team is now saving Jacob because they realize he's been double-crossed now.
Yeah.
So now we're back to the ultimate bad guy of Cypher, who's trying to activate this thing still, while the boys up in space are blowing up the thing, the other thing. And, eventually they're able to blow up the giant convoy. Do they even retrieve the thing, or do they let it just blow up? I forget. I don't remember.
I am actually still confused about that because there was a moment in the film where I thought Dom attached an explosive to the device and threw it at the drone. And the drone exploded, and I thought, okay, he's destroyed the device. But I thought that the device was so important that they would give it a more important moment than him just throwing it out the window. But I don't remember them ever giving it a more important moment than that.
I didn't.
So
I don't remember seeing it after that scene.
Yeah, I'm actually still
maybe
now confused as to what happened.
Maybe that's what it was. Again, we've only seen it once, so we can rewatch and
No, we can't.
We can. We can. We're physically capable of rewatching.
I mean,
but anyway,
do you want to like go again?
no, no. I am fine waiting for this one to come out on DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah. Anyway, the thing gets blown up. It doesn't matter anyway, we think, because the satellite blows up anyway.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then we have a moment between Dom, and Jacob.
A callback moment to the first
the first movie, yeah, where he says, somebody gave me a 10-second car one time.
10-second car one time.
It's a chance to restart. Second chance. And he gives Jacob keys to his car and lets him drive off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Then we cut to the cookout.
The cookout scene, which is now a prerequisite to all the movies.
It's necessary.
How do they not play?
Yeah.
In every movie.
I honestly, I hope that's how the last one ends.
Because they keep doing this fucking
We
the
need
same
it.
scene.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And okay, everything's great. Everything ends well. We see some old friends.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
And then
They couldn't afford Don Omar, I guess.
What's he doing? What's Don Omar doing?
It was something. He was too busy
Is
to
he
film
busy?
the Fast and the Furious 9. I guess
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was kind of a bummer. I wanted to see him again.
I did too. I was really disappointed that he
Especially
because
because they called back to the both of them.
Yeah,
in a
and
flashback
to not
scene.
have both of them in the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And they're like, yeah, he's running a restaurant. They're like, fuck you. Fuck you. You
Yeah.
made us believe that you both were going to be in the movie. And who was the other guy? I don't remember. I'm sorry. I don't know my reggaeton stars. Who was the other guy?
Well, no. Actually, Don
Did I
Omar was
flip
there.
him?
Don
Okay,
Omar
Don
was there.
Omar's there. And then who's the guy?
Tego Calderon.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I know when I said that, people were like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Tego Calderon,
Mm-hmm.
he was not in the film. And I
Tego
wish
Calderon.
that he was, because he's amazing. And
He's
I
great.
love him.
He's great.
And it's
I love that he's become part of that world.
Yeah. It's disappointing that they both weren't in it.
Yeah.
Don Omar was in it.
He was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then it finally ends on this sweet moment where Lil B's about to say grace.
Say grace.
Say
grace.
After a super narcissistic shot, low in frame, looking upward the heavens.
We're coming back to this.
To the heavens. He's Vin Diesel's absolutely backlit like an angel. Oh, yeah.
Man.
Ready to say grace. And the final scene's sweet, and we get this moment where they go, "Oh, we can't start now. There's one seat missing," and then you see the famous blue car come in the frame, and you hear him coming down. And thankfully, they kept it classy, and you don't see a CGI plastic face.
Yeah, that was good.
Of Paul Walker, but yeah, it was a nice little sweet end.
They
to
acknowledge the fact that like his car is almost as famous as he is when it comes to the movies. He pulls up in the Lancer, and it was a Lancer, right? Wasn't a Lancer? What was it?
No, it's a Skyline.
Skyline. That's right. That's right. His car was the Skyline.
Yeah, GTR.
And yes, that was a really sweet moment. And honestly, when his car pulls up, I got a little choked up. I was like, man, that's really nice that they did
it's
that.
nice to see, because I mean, let's just get into it now. I guess feelings of the movie in general. Unfortunately, I couldn't help, and I couldn't help in the last movie too, just feel the loss of Paul Walker in these movies.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because that's the place where I'd like to start too.
Yeah.
Paul Walker is sorely missed in these last couple films.
And it's strange because, like, I mean, I feel like, unfortunately, while he was around in these movies, like, I didn't really pay him much mind. Like, I could have, if you would have told me, like, let's say things went differently and he was still around, and they just decided to make movies without him. I feel like, or they, like if I just heard that was announced, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I feel like it's a so much of an ensemble that they could totally get away with doing a Paul Walker-less movie. I mean, they did it before, right? But the more and more that we have without him in our real timeline, in our current timeline, it's like there's like a vacuum, and I think it may be the vacuum of like a straight man character, because this movie is so Looney Tunes, and I feel like he could have anchored it into something like at least a little bit closer to Earth.
Yeah,
and I feel like without him, there's just something missing.
I have to respectfully disagree. I think that I don't see a universe in which these films work as well without him. And if he was still alive, it would be very strange for them to have done a film to continue this series without him. Like if he decided that he didn't want to do it, they would have to make these films the way that they did, which is still incredibly successful films, and bring in all these guest stars and like work around his absence. Yeah. And that makes sense. I think if he was still alive, they'd be able to kill him off as opposed to having him just be off screen. Sure. Which would make it easier for them to write around him. Yeah, yeah. And they'd be able to like use him as a guest star. Like if they could pay him enough money to bring him back, that would be a cameo. Yeah, people would fucking lose their shit to see Paul Walker, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, I agree with you that they need a straight man because these movies are so batshit crazy. Yeah. And I think that his character is the reason that these movies even work. Paul Walker's character is a former NYPD detective, undercover agent, who at one point becomes an FBI undercover, right? Yep. His character is the anchor to why they have any of the resources that they have. And this is the thing that people don't think about. They think that Dom Toretto and his crew just became these guys who were like these spec ops agents working for this Mr. Nobody character, right? They're not. No. The reason that any of this makes sense is because they are connected to a guy who worked for the FBI. Yeah. And he is the reason why they are so invaluable to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah. If it weren't for Paul Walker's character, they are just street thugs. They're just a bunch of street racers who got lucky, right?
And the reason why this even happened to begin with was because of their insight and specialty into the world of street racing. Right.
That's it.
That was the doorway in.
That's it.
That's it. It's only after.
No one was like, I wonder what Tej in Miami is doing, because we've heard through the grapevine that he's this super computer genius who knows how to also fight who's also like a kung fu fighter and knows how to hack any computer in the history of computers. No one gave a fuck about the rest of this crew. They only cared about the fact that Paul Walker's character was an FBI agent who also had a connection to the underground street racing world. Right. That's why this whole thing, and that's the reason why 1 through 6 makes sense. Yeah. Because he's there to anchor the whole thing. After that, it goes off the fucking rails.
Yeah. And I think it's super apparent. And I think the only thing that helps in that mix-up is The Rock.
Yes.
I feel like the fact that when he comes in and starts stealing the show, you feel that loss a little less. Yes. Because he's so commanding of a presence. And he fits more of that like cartoon bonkers kind of storytelling.
Yeah. And his character makes more sense because he's also a person who works for the government. And you go, well, how do they even know who this person is? Oh, well, because The Rock's character has connections with the federal government. Yeah. So that's why they know where to find this person. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they have all this technology, because of The Rock.
And I feel like they played around with having another straight man in that position, not replacing his role, obviously. Paul Walker's, I mean, but of Clint Eastwood's son.
Scott Eastwood.
Scott Eastwood, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he was put in there to test the waters of how the audience would feel about another straight man, white guy,
People turned on
government
his ass.
guy, and it was like, no, I don't want that.
Immediately they were like, no.
Not him.
If it's going to be him, I'd rather not.
No.
I'd rather you just stop the whole series than
Right.
it be that guy.
Yeah, and so I think that was them kind of testing the waters to see how people would react to it, and wisely they backed off of it.
You know what's crazy? How uncharismatic Scott Eastwood is compared to his dad. I know that it's hard to compare an actor to his like more famous actor father.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not fair.
No, not at all.
Clint Eastwood is an American treasure. No matter
Yeah.
how you feel about his politics, he's an American treasure. I
Yeah.
don't care what you say. But Scott Eastwood just is not.
There's magic missing there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot missing, and magic is one of the things.
It's just magic missing there. Sorry, Scott, if you're listening. No disrespect. No disrespect. You did all you could.
You did all you could
in the Fast and Furious series, but yeah, it's just not the same.
It ain't the same.
It's not the same.
No. Okay. So where are we? I mean, there's so many inconsistencies to.
We're in the complaint corner. That's where we are right now.
We're in the, what?
Complaint corner.
The complaint corner.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. I have so many
Okay.
that I can't even remember how many I have. I wrote down some of them, and some of them we talked about before we left.
Okay.
My first thought is Paul Walker is missed sorely. That's my first thought.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we
started
like
with that.
organically
Yeah.
got into that, because that was my first thought.
Yeah.
Like driving home, I was like, man, if he was in these movies. Not only does he work to make sense of the plot itself, he anchors the rest of these characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all go insane without him.
Yes. Especially Vin Diesel.
Yes. If you have Paul Walker there, you can kind of bring it all back, and he can kind of be the reason why any of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Without him, you are led to believe that the most powerful agencies in the American government are resting the fate of the world on the shoulders of a mechanic
Yeah. Street racers.
who knows how to drive a muscle car really well.
Real good.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
The Nordic strain thing, I put the Nordic strain ? So stupid. Vin thinks I need this. Oh, okay. This is a good one. Okay. So one of the big major plot points of the film is something that they retread a lot in the past like 3 films, which is this life for me?
Right.
Who am I without this life, quote unquote, this life? And this life is defined very vaguely, which is it to mean living on the edge of your seat? Is it to mean being a criminal?
Yeah.
Is it to mean being an adrenaline junkie? Like, could he be Triple X and just jump out of planes and steal cars and shit, and would that be fulfilling? Mm-hmm. Or does he need to be a spec ops agent, and is that fulfilling to him? Why is Michelle Rodriguez's character Letty, why is she so obsessed with this life? Mm-hmm. Before she lost her memory in the 4th film, this isn't the life that she was living. She was a street racer.
Right.
1 through 3, she has no connections to being anything more than a street racer. In the 4th film, she's asked by Paul Walker's character, and this is the cause of friction. Believe me, guys, we're in this. We're in this, okay? You're looking at 2 dudes who are fucking in this.
Yeah.
In the 4th film, she's asked by Paul Walker's character to infiltrate this Mexican cartel, right?
Yeah.
And she dies, quote unquote. She dies.
Another one of those.
And we're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
She dies in the fourth film, doing what Brian asked her to do, which was infiltrate this cartel. And that is the reason why Dom hates Brian for a little while, for for a movie and a half. He hates him because of this, right? But before that, she's not a person who wants to quote unquote live this life.
Right.
So what the fuck is she talking about?
I mean, she never regained her memory.
She did. Yes, she did. She did. She did in the I don't know if it's the last film or the film before that, but she does, because at the very end she starts going like, "Oh, I remember all this bullshit." She does regain her memory, because remember in this film she says, "When I just started remembering everything about my past life, we started living this bullshit farm life."
See, I took what happened in the last movie, not the most recent one, the last one, as like she's remembering a little bit. Like she's getting memories back.
Right.
But she's never going to be the Letty we knew before.
Right.
But I guess that's a lie.
From what I took from it was at the very end of the last film,
it all came back to her.
It all came back to her, yes. Like a very
stupid.
cheap, very cheap. I mean, amnesia only works for about an hour or as long as we want this movie
until
to last.
It's inconvenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has her memory back and she wants to live this adrenaline junkie life, which, by the way, I have another question about that. This is what I wrote down. So if they do choose to live that life, what does that mean for the kid? So if they decide that they're just adrenaline junkies and they're going to be spec op agents for the rest of their, late to early 40s, what does that mean for little B? Does he have to just live with Brian, off character, in real life, dead guy, in film, alive guy who's retired? What does that mean for their kid?
I guess. Yeah. Well, I think that's
how selfish of them to be like, we just want to go on missions. Fuck this kid.
But I think this is all just a big retread of the Brian storyline from 7.
1000%. It's a retread, and it's so unoriginal, and it's so lazy. Yeah, it's terrible. That's exactly what it is.
That's all it is.
They couldn't think of another plot point that was more interesting than Paul Walker's character deciding if he wants to live this life anymore. That was the most interesting thing that they ever came up with in the history of 8 films. And they were like, yeah, let's just do that again with Vin Diesel's character.
Right.
Oh, it's fucking lazy. And it made me angry thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're just doing the same fucking thing.
And it's not as good.
Absolutely not. Because it doesn't have the same amount of heart and emotional heft. Paul Walker's character, it makes sense. He is a career cop.
Yeah.
And then he backstabs his career. He lets go of everything.
Yep.
Because of how much he cares about his family and because of how much loyalty means to him.
Yeah. He
Right?
started living a double life, even though he had full intention of being a straight and narrow guy.
Yes.
He instead decided to be loyal and to, start a family.
Yes.
With this new family.
Yes.
And be loyal to that.
Yes. And he can't, the pull of being a cop, of being a righteous man, of being a person on the front lines is too much for him.
Yeah.
And it is compelling in the midst of the stupidity that is these films.
There's a lot of conflict there. Real drama.
His plot is compelling.
Yeah.
It's a real conflict that makes sense, that is relatable.
Yeah.
Where you go, I get it. I understand why a guy who's lived that life for his whole adult life, would be hesitant to just give it up at a drop of a dime because he had a kid.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It works for him.
Yep.
It does not work for Dom Toretto's character, who has lived his entire adult life living this life.
Yeah.
And then he was just dropped a kid in his lap.
And suddenly.
And now he's living on a farm.
Badly.
I
get what they're going for. I get what they're going for with Dom, which is like, family's everything to him. Now his family is bigger and he has his own son. So therefore his son means everything to him. But that's not what they go with.
Yeah.
That's not what they go with.
No.
They end up going with this strange. Well, I mean, first of all, they drop the kid off immediately.
Immediately
And
they
he's
get rid of that kid.
They don't even really care. Like, he's just gone.
That kid is out of the picture so fast.
Until the very end. And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But, I mean, I just feel like make Dom his own unique character and not just Brian 2.0.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna be a through line until the next movie, too.
Yeah.
Him just being this, like, weird mix of, like, a hardcore, dangerous guy, but then also, like, heart of gold and good daddy, and, you know, like, balancing that really awkwardly.
Yeah.
And we know he's not gonna walk away from his kid. We know that. So there's no stakes involved in this.
No.
That entire conversation between them about, you know, is it worth, like, should we stay in this life or that one? We have to, you know, what is it that's really driving us? Yada, yada, yada. No pun intended. It's completely thrown in the back burner. Like, they don't readdress that. They don't at all.
No, they give a second where they're like, is this really the life that we want to live? And then they make out, and it's like, okay, so is this the life that you guys want to live?
They don't answer, and they continue to live that life.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you kind of answered your own question with no resolution, though.
Exactly. Because part of the conflict was that they are trying to start a family and live a normal life.
Yeah.
So when they both decide, oh, no, we do want to live this crazy life of ours. Sure. But you have a son. So is the 10th film going to be based around you teaching your kid to be a spec ops agent?
Right.
Or
maybe that's the spinoff.
Yeah.
It's Little B learning to be a street racer.
Fast 10, Lil B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that entire subplot, no resolution to it, rushed and was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean the thing that you can take away from the whole film was just most, if not all, of the subplots introduced were either rushed, terribly written,
Yeah.
or unfinished.
Well, in more so than that, I feel like the biggest sin of this movie is introducing characters that we're supposed to care about in an already stacked list of an ensemble cast that we've just met and are supposed to, for some reason, care about.
Yeah.
We have enough people. We have enough people in this crew and in these films.
Yeah.
Use them. Give some stakes to this entire thing by actually putting these people in peril.
Yeah.
They have a built-in backstory that we don't have to go through endless flashbacks to have to explain. Specifically, the girl, I think her name's Elle or something.
Yeah. The Han character.
Yeah, Hans Liege.
Hans Liege.
That he's protecting. Like,
Yeah.
her... completely unnecessary. Now we have another character, another superfluous character that we don't know very well or care about.
Yeah.
I don't care about her. Like, I don't know who she's. I don't know you.
I don't know you. Not one iota of my emotional being. I didn't even think about her.
No. And
anytime she was off screen, I didn't even wonder what was happening to her.
my question is, why complicate things with her? It makes no sense. It just clutters the movie more. In a movie that's already cluttered by this Jacob character that we have to get invested in order to care about the movie to begin with.
Yeah.
And at least they do a good job of, like, explaining who he is, kinda. And, like,
They spend half the movie giving us his backstory. They give us enough backstory for Jacob that lasts 9 films. If Jacob was a sub-character that lasted all 9 films and then came to fruition in this movie, it would be like, whoa, what a payoff.
Yeah, yeah. But this entire movie, it suffers from feeling like it was just mashed together in the last moments.
It honestly feels like someone told someone told Vin Diesel to put John Cena in this movie, and Vin Diesel or whoever wrote these films, I'm thinking it's Vin Diesel, whoever wrote these films wasn't creative enough to come up with a better reason to put Cena in these movies other than, what if he's Dom's brother?
Yeah.
And then you know what happened? You got 5 writers together in a writer's room, and one person was like, what if Cena is Dom Toretto's brother?
I love it. Let's go with that.
And exactly.
And
And
then
they
the
wrote
ball
a
starts
whole,
rolling,
a whole movie based on that.
Yeah.
Because with how haphazardly he's thrown into the movie, with how terribly his character is written. And also, I'd like to say, by the way, John Cena is given absolute dog dookie to work with.
Yeah.
And he does almost an Oscar-worthy performance with what he's given.
A serviceable job.
He makes miracles with the dookie that he's given of a character.
Yeah.
No soul, no real backstory, a confusing plot,
Yeah.
no real emotion, because we find out later on that the emotion that he's supposed to be giving is conflicted by the fact that he's been lying the whole time. So
Right.
now we don't understand what emotion that he's actually portraying in the film.
Yeah.
He is given nothing. And
Yeah.
he makes miracles.
Yeah.
So I would just like to say, shout out to John Cena.
Yeah.
Because he makes miracles happen with what is one of the poorest written characters I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In a movie.
I gotta agree. I mean, I had a good time with this character. I wouldn't mind seeing him again.
Yeah. I thought he was great. I thought he was fantastic.
Can't see him.
You had to. You got to.
You got to do it at least once.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that leads to my final gripe, which is that entire plot about him lying to Dom this entire time about what really happened on that racetrack.
Yeah.
There's no I mean, it is the biggest of plot holes. I don't understand. Maybe there's something I missed. Maybe there's a line somewhere that explains why he didn't just tell him the truth.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's been hiding this secret this entire time while also suffering the loss of his family.
Yeah. So there's no explanation as to what happened to their mother, right?
Not that I remember.
That I can't recall them explaining what happened to their mother. They only have their dad. Dom thinks that Jacob, John Cena's character, murdered their dad in this race. He thinks that he sabotaged him on purpose.
Right.
Dom never takes a single moment in his entire life to ever think about what the motivation was behind why he would murder his own dad.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to just run with that emotion.
Sure. Because he made a promise to his dad.
Yeah.
And he's going to stick to that promise.
Cena's character, Jacob, made a promise to his dad
to not say
why
he
did what he
because the
did.
family was in debt and he wanted to throw the race.
And because of the way that Dom Toretto's dad felt about Dom, he had so much I guess he had so much pride in him, and he was so proud of him, and he thought so highly of Dom's character that he didn't want to sully his own self-image of himself
in his son's eyes,
but
not Jacob's
not
eyes.
just Jacob's eyes.
Right.
He was okay with being a piece of shit to his younger brother,
which
but not the older brother.
Which is somewhat explained when the asshole who put his dad in the wall in the first place is like, "Oh, you're the fuck up, son," right?
Let me just say, okay, you and I are both sons.
We sure are.
We are sons.
Yes.
We are sons of fathers who had multiple sons.
Yes.
Right? You have an older brother. I have 2 older brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I would just like to say for in my experience,
okay,
my father
who art in heaven.
My dad would never, I shouldn't say would never, but the idea that my dad would think so highly of one of my older brothers that he would lie to them, but not lie to me, the youngest son, just as asinine.
Yeah.
If you're a person who's writing this film and you have brothers, you wouldn't have written this movie the way that you wrote it.
If anything, you would swap it
Yep.
and say, oh, the younger one can't hear about this. He can't handle it.
Yes, that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
You would have told Dom and you would have lied to Jacob.
Yep.
You would not have told Jacob, the younger brother. Why would he be able to handle this information?
I don't know.
It makes no sense.
I don't know.
I don't know Justin Lin personally, but what I do know is there's no way he has two older brothers.
I want to
or
shake
even
him by
one-
the shoulders.
Just grab him and be like, what are you talking about?
What happened?
Okay. We're about an hour in. I just
Okay.
want to say I like your biggest flaw of the movie. My biggest flaw of the movie, or my biggest sin of the movie, is I wrote it down. I said I feel betrayed at how stupid this movie was.
Yeah.
Instead of rewarding our loyalty, our intelligence is insulted.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest insult of this. That's the biggest sin of this movie.
Yeah.
Is you and I have been so loyal to this series.
Well, they do.
And to get to the 9th film,
They put Cardi B in
they
it.
put Cardi B in it.
Yeah.
I just feel so insulted by it.
Yeah.
I fought for this film. I fought family members. I fought friends. I put so much behind this movie, and to actually go and see it and to just feel so betrayed, because it's not the stupidity of the movie so much as it is the laziness of the plot that is insulting. That we as a consumer base would just go and spend our hard-earned money.
Yeah.
And we did, and I will on the next film.
Well, that's the thing, like Fast 5, 6, 7, and to some degree 8, I feel like are dumb. They're dumb movies. But they're
I would
fun.
argue that 5 is not a dumb movie. I would argue that 5 is a ridiculous movie.
Yeah.
I would not call it dumb.
Dumb may be the wrong word for 5 in particular, but I feel like they get dumber.
6, 7, and 8, 1,000% I agree.
They get dumber the farther we go on that trajectory.
Yes, 100%. I would argue that 5 is a legitimate good film.
Yeah.
Unironically, Fast 5 is a legitimate
it's a good movie. It's
film.
a really good movie. Yeah.
And it's not hampered by a bad plot or bad acting,
Bad
or
characters. Unnecessary characters.
Everything about it makes sense. Not everything. I shouldn't say everything about it.
Let's walk that back a little bit.
Yeah. Let me
Walk
walk that
back a little bit.
Not everything, but mostly it makes a lot of sense, that film. It's it's a thrill ride. It's a good action movie. And you're like, okay, I get why they're here, why they're doing what they're doing, and who they're doing it to.
Yeah.
All of that makes sense.
Motivations make sense.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Every character's motivation needs to make sense, and if it makes sense, you can ride that to the fucking sunset.
Yeah. Or to space.
Or to space.
Yeah.
Dude, we don't even have enough time to talk about that. So.
Yeah. Well, okay. We gave our biggest gripe. Let's give one good thing that we're leaving this movie with.
As far as I'm concerned, I would like to say that I think there is a lot good going for this film as far as an action movie is concerned. Sure. It's off the walls crazy.
Yeah.
The stunts, the set pieces. We didn't even talk about the car magnet.
Yeah.
We don't have enough time
to
talk about the car magnet. I think that as an action movie, it continues the tradition of all of the Fast and the Furious movies post Fast Furious 4, which is that they just completely abandon car racing, which is, by the way, let me just say 2 seconds. Guys, stop with these movies used to be about street racing and now they're about...
I'm old enough to remember when these movies were about street racing.
Let it go. You know when these movies were about street racing?
2001.
Please, it's over. That's done with.
Yeah.
John Singleton, God rest his soul, is gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's over. They're not about street racing. They haven't been about street racing since like 2004, 2005. It's over. Stop with your terrible take of these movies used to be. They're not. They're action movies. We're done with that.
Yeah.
Stop it.
We've moved beyond it.
It's not a good argument.
As somebody in his youth that would have complained the same way as that and had that same exact I would have said the same words.
Yeah.
Move on.
Move on.
It's okay. Like these movies are not that anymore.
They're not that.
They haven't been for a long time.
And okay, here's another thing. Let's be honest. Even when they were about that, were they ever really about that?
Really?
Because the chief complaint about those movies when they came out was they're not really that realistic, right?
Yeah, no.
Didn't everybody complain about the fact that like that's not how street racing really is?
Well, especially
that's not
too.
what would happen with a Skyline, with a GTO, with a muscle car, with this, that, and the other thing. Isn't that what people complained about? Was that it wasn't that realistic of a street racing movie in the first place?
Yeah.
So from the jump, it was never about that. So let it go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Dom's car's a Charger.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking GTO because he drives a GTO and Triple X. You're right. It's a Charger. I've been saying GTO, but it's a Charger that he drives.
Yeah.
In Triple X, he drives a GTO.
It's true.
I hope that people get to this point of the podcast.
No. They're going to hear you say GTO once and go,
Right. That'll be
Nope.
enough. Thank you for
Yeah.
correcting me because you're right. You're absolutely right. But yeah, the plot, as far as like we're done with that. We're 9 films in. Let it go. At this point, you really just want the movies to be not, I mean, they're dumb. They're dumb movies, and you accept that. You accept the fact that they're dumb movies. You just want them to make just enough sense for you to be able to like go home and be like, yeah, that was fun. And
yeah.
so, okay, all right. Let's get back to like what was good about the
Right.
films.
Yep.
The action set pieces are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Every second of the action was amazing.
Yeah.
I have no complaints about the action at all. Fight scenes, as implausible as they are great.
Yeah.
Everybody who's fighting, you're like, Mia wouldn't be able to fight like that. But fine, sure, I'll accept that. She fights amicably. I like that. Roman, Tyrese's character, as much as I hated the fact that he's written so poorly, he's funny. He's entertaining.
Yeah.
Him and Ludacris are entertaining. They're funny enough as far as being the comedic foil to how ridiculous the whole thing is.
Yeah.
I think they do well enough to kind of I wouldn't say tie it all together because they don't do well enough to make you forget that there's a tremendous amount of plot holes. But they do well enough that like when they're on screen, you're like, this is fun. I'm into this. I mean, there's scenes when they're in space. Hilarious. Hilarious is a strong word, but they were funny.
Yeah, amusing.
Amusing.
Yeah.
They were good. I thought they were good. I think they do. I think they know each other well enough to bounce off of each other. They do really well. So yeah, the action set pieces and the humor I thought was good. If the movie didn't need a plot, if movies didn't need plot,
If only.
yeah, then these movies would be fucking they would be 6 out of 6 bottle caps if they didn't need any plot because their set pieces were incredible.
Yeah.
So that's my final thought, is that they're big dumb fun. If you turn your brain off, you'll have a good time. If even for a second, if you come back from a bathroom break and you forgot to turn your brain off when you came back because you need your brain to pee.
Sure.
If you forgot to turn your brain off when you went back into the theater and you started watching this film, you would be insulted by it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I thought they were fun.
I agree with everything you said. I will just add on to, I like a lot of the players involved with this too. A lot of the actors. Helen Mirren was in there.
Oh, we didn't even mention Helen Mirren.
Yeah. Like you said, John Cena doing a good job.
Yeah.
And we get hints at Jason Statham coming back, which is exciting.
Yes.
With the post-credit scene.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know. I think my biggest thing is I'm given a hope for something better next time.
Yeah.
And just the fact that it was fun. I think I had a good time, even though it was frustrating at times.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
I think that's the best way to describe it. It was frustrating at times, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to Charlize Theron. They just kind of gloss over her character, but the fact of the matter is they turn every bad into a good character and give them a spin-off or make them a sub-character in all these films, that when you finally get a big bad who's good,
Yeah.
you got to hold on to that. And Charlize Theron is, I mean, she is consistently, dude, Charlize Theron in the past 5 to 10 years has been nothing short of amazing.
Of course.
She has been incredible.
Yeah.
She's been untouchable.
Yeah.
Everything that she's done, I'm like, oh yeah, she's fucking rocking this shit. She's killing it.
Yeah.
Good for Charlize Theron, and I'm happy that she's in these films because she adds some much needed
A little gravitas, if you will.
Yeah. So shout out to Charlize Theron. I would say probably, if we're talking about skill and merit and acting, best part of these films.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. All that being said, I will say I would like, the last note I will give on this movie, I would like for them to strip it back for the final one.
Yeah.
I want to go back to bare bones, not street racing. Don't worry, I'm not suggesting that. But,
God forbid.
Take it out of space, bring it back down to Earth,
Yeah.
and make it more about the characters and root it back into something more tactile,
Yeah.
real. Still be crazy, audacious, and fun, but bring it all back down to earth, and then make it this Avengers of all the characters that we've all come to know and love, and have them play their parts. Don't overwhelm it, and just, cap it off.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see next.
I didn't actually give a moment's notice or a moment's thought to what I would like to see next. But when you say that, I really like that idea. To make the final film or the second to final film be a thing that's stripped back and more localized and more like, let's bring it back to the initial idea of family.
Right.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Yeah. If they are able to like downsize it and make it like an Ant-Man film of the MCU-esque kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this doesn't have to be
a huge global thing.
It doesn't have to end the world every time.
Yeah.
It could just be the end of LA. It could just be the end of the Toretto line.
Yeah.
It could just be the end of one character. It doesn't have to be the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that a lot, actually.
I would like that.
I'm really into that. You don't look at that cast. Cut half of that.
Yeah.
You still got a good movie.
Yeah. Look, bam.
Just get rid of that. Two of those lines.
Cardi B. Maybe not.
Okay. We need to spend at least 30 seconds on Cardi B.
Okay.
We need to because people need to hear this. I feel like people need to hear this. I feel like I need to say it.
Okay.
Rather than people need to hear it, I think I need to say it.
Go ahead. I open the floor.
Okay. Cardi B's role in this film. What's her name? Lisa. Mm-hmm. She's one of Helen Mirren's crew who break Dom out of jail. Inexplicably, they don't even try to explain why or how that even happened. And we, as the audience, is not expected to question that. And I don't question that. I don't care. That's one thing where I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not going to go to some European prison and spend 25 minutes trying to break out of jail.
Right.
And by the way, I don't want to see that movie.
No.
I don't care.
No.
So I'm glad that they did what they did. What I'm not glad about is having Cardi B as a guest star in this film.
Explain tech.
Guys, Cardi B's turn in this film may be one of the worst guest appearances I've ever seen in my entire life.
She didn't even try.
She didn't even try. Now, let me just preface this by saying I like Cardi B.
Yeah.
I thought her first album was decent. I think it's a pretty good debut album by a rapper. I have no problem with WAP or anything else that she does. I like Cardi B.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I think she's fun. I think she's a fun personality.
Mm-hmm.
I like when she pops up on TV and people get angry about the fact that she's on TV showing her tits and doing whatever the fuck she wants to do.
Yeah,
And then sometimes she pops up on Twitter and she says something smart and people go, wait, she's smart? And it's like, yeah, she can
Wait
be
a
slutty
minute.
and smart at the same time. I'm fine with that. I like Cardi B. What I don't like is her showing up in my dumb movies and being even dumber.
Yeah.
Than the plot is allowed to be.
Yeah.
She's so bad in this movie, I couldn't even contain myself in the theater. I had a visceral reaction to how bad she was in this movie.
It felt like when you know somebody and you see them doing bad on stage. You know, and you're just like, oh,
You're like, come on, get it together. You don't remember your lines?
Oh.
He's improvising and it's
oh,
not
no.
good. It is so bad. Her timing is so off. Her line delivery is so horrendous.
Yeah, it's real bad. It's
And
a real bad time.
It's like Justin Lin, the director, got maybe 2 takes out of her, and then she was like, all right,
I gotta go.
I got to get out of here. I have other things to do. And Justin Lin was like, okay, I guess we'll work with what we have because it's so bad. And I'm so happy that it's only like 30 seconds of the film. It's so bad that I remember it. This movie was, what, 2 hours long?
2
and
and 20,
It
I think.
stuck with me. I couldn't stop thinking
The
about it.
funniest thing is, like, the first thing I did when I got home was Google search if I could find that clip of her.
Could you?
I couldn't. No, no, they don't have that yet.
It'll be up.
But apparently, this was made out to be like a big deal in the press.
Oh, man.
Like, they put out an entire thing, like a behind the scenes of Dom and Cardi, and I just knowing what that is and seeing all that for it,
Yeah.
tragedy.
Tragedy.
But anyway, let's get out of here.
I've said my piece.
Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
Okay, all that being said, what would you give F9 out of 6 bottle caps?
I'm thinking about it in a grand scheme of like 9 films. I think the set pieces are good enough. Fuck. I'd still give it a 3 out of 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd still give it a 3 out of 6. 3 bottle caps out of 6.
I was wavering on a 2.5, but I ultimately will go with a 3 as well. Because again, I didn't leave the movie angry. I left frustrated, but only because I saw the potential for better. But I had a good time throughout. Even the bad, I had a good time.
I think you said it perfectly.
It wasn't
man.
boring, which is good.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It was not boring.
So,
There's not a moment where I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It is a thrill ride from start to finish.
Yes.
So,
Unanimous 3 for F9. Let us know in the comments what you thought of F9. Let me look at the full name of F9, actually. It is F9 The Fast Saga. So I think they'll continue that line for the next, There's going to be 11's the end, right?
that's what I've read,
Okay.
is that they're trying to do 2 more films.
Okay.
So 10 and 11, and then they'll be done. Which, again, who does 11 films in a series?
I don't know.
They're hell-bent on just, we're going to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
What is this poster?
I think
What are these colors?
I think
What do they denote, Adam?
the Fast Saga is going to be something you see in all the spin-offs too. I have the feeling. I have the feeling.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it works. Like if you watch Hobbs and Shaw.
A Star Wars story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, let us know what you think in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and share if you care to. And again, this has been the One Reel In podcast. I'm Adam Obesius Rodriguez. You can follow me at Obesius everywhere. And this is Marco Dupa. Follow him to the bathroom.
I do have to take a shit.
Yes, I can feel it. We hope you've had a good time. Keep reeling on and reeling in the ears. I don't have a closing for this guy yet.
I'm not gonna lie, I like that.